Hello everybody, my name is Biyakhmetova Nazerke, and the topic of my research is ELT teachers and learners' perception about oral and written feedback. And the outline of my research is the title page, research purpose, research aims, research significance, participants, methods, instruments, literature review, research stages, research questions, results and findings, conclusions, research implications, and further research implications. And this is the title page of my research. As you see, there is a topic, my name, and the affiliation. And what is the purpose of my research? The purpose of my research is to investigate the perception of TFL learners and teachers toward oral and written feedback, and to get to know what they prefer, more oral or written feedback. And what are the research aims? The research aims are to provide qualitative information about the background of feedback, to collect the data, to form the questionnaire, conduct the questionnaire, to collect the results, analyze the data, and obtain expected outcomes from the research. And what is the significance of the research? When the study will be done, it is obvious that it will be of a great benefit for teachers and learners, because once they will know about my research, then they will be aware of the problem, that there is a great difference between the way how we treat feedback and the way how we actually use it. And from the now on, they will be able to solve this problem. And also, the significance of my research is that the findings of the research will be benefit for any English teachers who will be interested in the involvement of immersing of feedback into the and learning. Who are the research participants? The research participants were thoroughly selected by the researcher, and it is 20 TFL students and English language teachers. And why I have chosen them? Because I think that ELT teachers have really rich background, and they are closely related to the topic of my research, and they are involved into the problem. So I think that they can provide appropriate information that I can use in the research further. And what are the research methods? The research methods are quantitative, because the questionnaire that I have conducted consists of mostly closed questions, and there are only 2 or 3 open questions, and the rest of the questions require to choose statements that I have formed for participants. And what are the research instruments? The research instruments are 2 questionnaires that I have made separately for student participants and for teacher participants. Why? Because teachers and students need absolutely different questions, because teachers they are giving feedback, and students they are receiving feedback, and their perception I think it can be very. And talking about literature review, what is feedback? Feedback is according to the Haiti and typically, the feedback is the information that an agent or teacher provides or provides someone's performance about his understanding, and this information reduces the difference between what is aimed to be understood and what is understood. And the types and forms of the feedback is manifold. For example, written, oral, formal, informal, peer feedback, constructive, continuous, end-semester, formative, summative, end-semester, and so on. But the main 2 types of the feedback is oral and written. Written one, it is when teacher gives us feedback in a written form, for example in a paper where we have done some task, or by message. And oral feedback, it is the feedback where teacher gives us feedback orally in front of the class or individually, and he can give some notes or comments, and he can give oral feedback as soon as he thinks that it is the right time to do. And talking about similar researches about oral and written feedback, there are plenty of them done before me or in this year and so on. And there are many researches that were done about the influence of oral and written feedback on some skills. For example, in the 2019 year, answers have done research about the influence of oral and written feedback on students' writing skills. And he have done 2 questionnaires and made the students write during the 1 month, and he measured how they were writing in the beginning of the research and in the end of the research. And it turned out to be that oral and written feedback has great influence on their writing skills, and that they prefer more oral feedback over written feedback. And what are the research stages? The first research stage, it is the choosing of the topic, then forming research questions and the purpose of the research or hypothesis. Then the third stage is the investigation of previous and similar researches, the background of the topic, and writing literature review. Then the fourth stage is the formation of questionnaire, conducting a questionnaire, gathering the results. Then the fifth stage is writing the methodology part. The sixth stage is doing quantitative analysis. The seventh stage is writing conclusion and abstract. And what are the research questions? There are 3 research questions. The first one is, what is the perception of TFL learners and ELT teachers toward oral and written feedback? What factors, biases, and convictions influence on their perceptions? And what type of feedback they prefer more, oral feedback or written feedback? And the results and findings of the research are not surprise for me, because they are quite positive. The perception of teachers and learners toward feedback is quite positive, but the problem is that I have asked them how often do you get or provide feedback. They said that once in a week or once in 2-3 lessons, and I asked them how they think they should provide or should receive the feedback, and they said they should provide and receive feedback every lesson or once in 2-3 lessons. And the problem is that they wish to use the feedback much more frequently. And I think that factors that influence on the perception of students why they want to receive feedback much more frequently is that because they need to be controlled and guided by the teacher. They need to know that the work that they have done is can be fixed, and it is not wrong, that it is right. And the teacher, on the other hand, wants to be involved in the learning process. He wants to interact with the students much more frequently. And moreover, it turned out that most of the teachers and students prefer oral feedback over written feedback, and I think that it is because oral feedback has much more benefits and advantages over a written one. In a conclusion, I can say that the problem that there is a difference between the treatment of feedback and the actual research has revealed itself as I expected it to be, and the researchers think that such a problem exists due to the reason that both teachers and learners don't know the importance of feedback well enough to use it at every lesson. If they would know, they would use it much more frequently, and they would know that the feedback is the guarantee of the effectiveness of the learning process. And talking about research implications, I would say that I would suggest to myself to conduct not a questionnaire, but I think maybe I would better conduct some more serious work, for example, pre-test, post-test, or some really investigation, not a questionnaire, and it can be a really quantitative analysis, so that I would be more confident in the results. And talking about further research implications, I would say that in the future I would like to continue the topic of feedback, and I would like to investigate more general problems, and so that it could be very beneficial for others, and other ELT teachers would find it very useful.